Hey, welcome, Doowovid here. Thought I'd play some more chess. Last time I did this, I didn't really get to talk about the chess because I had guessed the whole time. So hopefully today, if people want to come on, that's fine. Otherwise, I'm just gonna talk chess for some of the purpose of improving my game. Look at my stats. I got last time my blitz rating to an all-time high, 2250. Very good, almost master strength. So very happy with that. Bullet, yeah, I'd been down in like the 1900s. I'd like to be strong, like solid over 2000, and just trying to get out those mistakes I'm making, the quick errors. So I've been, little of that. I've been falling under 1900, but I'm off my high on that. So hopefully, improve my game. There's a little bit to it. Like, I play these kind of crummy openings, so it's hard to, be that great. And I could consider working with my openings and trying to, you work with better openings. But the main thing I wanted to do was, you just solidified my play, get rid of the stupid errors, um, good opening selection. So this guy's basically moving instantaneously, but not sure how solid his opening was. So we'll see what happens here. Okay, I gotta say this looks relatively pretty good for me. Just snap that. He made those first moves extremely quickly, but I've already gained a pawn, and he might be in some trouble. There's different strategies for 1 minute. There's relatively very strong players who play on this, but are somewhat slow. And then there's speed demons because there's a lot of young kids, and now I'm already middle age, so there'll be a lot of players who are extremely quick. Even substantially quicker than me. I think that's a mistake. It's going to cost them an exchange. And now I'm even up on time. Check. Okay, it's not hitting that pawn anymore. Weakness of the last move. Can't defend this pawn. I'm up on time. It should be an easy win. Okay. Careful. Oh, I walked into the fork. Anyways, I was careful not to walk into the fork, and I still walked into the fork. So now this is going to be hard to win. Okay, well, he went for the pawn, which may have been a mistake. Now he has a draw, but not sure why he blew that one. Okay, so that's how it goes. I want a rematch. Okay, he left, but okay, these games are up and down. That's why I'm playing, is to improve my instantaneous thought, to get my chess game. So these games are really poor. Like, I might play a few 3-minute games and play a few 1-minute game quick, just see if I could get back on my highs or how I'm doing. And maybe some other people will join, and I'll play 3-minute talk. So these games aren't really worth going over. There's so many blunders and horrible moves. But the key is instantaneous. Kind of like streaming. A certain part of streaming is not leaving dead air, not leaving dead time, which is actually very difficult. So chess is, this instantaneous chess has some similarity to that, where dead time is a no-no. You don't want to leave any dead time when you're streaming, because it's not interesting for people if there's nothing going on. I mean, chess is okay. At least I'm playing chess, so people could watch the chess even if there's dead time. But okay, I'm gonna snap the pawn. Okay, that way. Checks my block with a queen. I could trade. Okay, I'm all defended. That may have been a mistake. You can play there. Yeah, I messed this up. See what happens. I'm saying that, like, I'm up on time, which is a benefit. This guy from India. So he could take some pawns and check. Okay, he didn't take the pawn. Okay. Well, I got to try to play for the win here because I'd rather sack the material. You got to play for a win. So, I mean, that should have been a draw, but only because the time factor, was I able to win that play for the win. So, I mean, generally, if I win, my rating goes up. If I lose, it goes down. If I draw, it changes a little if the person's lower rating. So, these very quick games are largely to just get my mind working extremely sharp. They're not the best play. If I played 3-minute games, I could talk quite a bit more about strategy and the cost benefit analysis of the moves and different things. But that's not meant for these 1-minute games, because the key basically is instantaneous moving. Okay. I'm not sure how that helped him. Gonna run. Be a little bit careful. It's not like he doesn't have any threats here, but he sacked in exchange. He's up a second or two on the clock, so I gotta be careful about that. Okay, he gave me the queen. Yep. Okay, so this there definitely should be a win for me, but time is short. There's only 20 seconds, so these 1-minute games are never over till they're over. He's just giving away material. Okay, he resigned that. A rematch. Nice avatar of his. Okay, he took the rematch. Okay, so what's going on? These King's Gambit structures. Go for my kingside expansion. Okay. I think you could stop my kingside expansion. Not sure what's going to happen here. This is pretty good setup for an attack. And check me, I'm going to run up here. So this is looking pretty good. I'm up on time. Materials even, but his king is not looking pretty there. So, yeah, I mean, there's really nothing he could do. Now I'm threatening a sacrifice there. Oh, man, I left that pawn hanging. That was bad. It's not what I wanted to do. He didn't take it. He could have taken that pawn check in the center, but that's mate. So he missed that. Okay, you're on a streak here. Your rematch. 2-0. I beat this guy 2 in a row. That's when you know you're playing good, when you beat the same person over and over again. So it's not necessarily like luck that there was a certain anomaly that allowed you to win, but there's something superior in the play that you could beat the same person multiple times in a row. And I'm down on time here, a little lapsed, a little not exactly how I wanted this to go. One's weak. The one you got to move instantly. So even if you don't really know what to do, it's extremely important just to move. So there too, he just gave me a pawn. He probably didn't know what to do. He had certain ideas, and he just went with it, even though it wasn't that good. But it's only a pawn, so okay. I'm gonna come in here. I got to be careful for pins. Take with the knight. Gonna be a little bit careful. Yeah, I mean, it's not great here. You're gonna say not great what's going on, but see what happens. Okay, I'm gained on time. These games, time is a really big deal. Being up on time is extremely important. So I should win this on time, although it's not looking good. So I won that on time. Like, I'm a slightly this guy from Denmark. So, I mean, interesting avatar, clown outfit for Denmark. I'm 3-0 against him. So we keep on playing. See if he rallies some sort of comeback here. So he's making these opening moves quicker than me. It's interesting. Like, so he's gaining time on the very beginning of the opening, although he's making slightly inferior opening moves because my openings aren't that great. Like, I play basically inferior openings here. But he's not really capitalizing on my inferior opening play. Okay. So this is really just all over the place. Okay. Didn't mean to give him that. But let's see if my attack works. Okay. I got the pressure on him. So well, he just that's not as good as I thought because it's check. I thought I was going to be able to pick off that pawn, but it's check. Okay, that's check. Check. I got my rook coming here. Okay, that's mate. 4-0. Thank God. See if he wants to play again. I got this guy 4-0. That was pretty good. This guy from Denmark. Okay. So I got to be quick on the draw. Like, depending, I have a few different. These openings I play, they're basically inferior openings, but there's a certain strategy to them, and it's extremely important to you make the moves in a correct order. So castle. I mean, so I did lose the exchange. Okay, he didn't play that correctly. So I played that inferiorly, but he didn't capitalize properly. So right now I'm up a pawn. It's a little bit tenuous, the situation. See if he allows me to trade off queens. Oh, I just gave that pawn up. He just snapped my pawns off. So Yeah, it's not exactly. Oh, this is not good. I messed it up pretty bad. I'm just losing my. It's basically over. Yeah, I'm basically lost. And I'm down on time. So he just snaps the piece, but like, I mean, this is not looking good. I'm down on time and I'm lost on the board. So there's the minor chance that, there'll be some sort of time scramble where he can't figure out how to win. But he's got me beat. I'm down. Yeah, okay. This guy was lower rated and pounded me away there. Okay. And different strategy to talk and play fast also. So the different strategies of playing and talking at the same time, moving instantaneously. Um, oh man, I mean, you get the error. You can't figure out what he did, and you think it's your move, and so that was just a waste of a few seconds there. It wasn't a good strategy. Okay. Okay, like it looked turned out all right. He's gonna have some problem defending that pawn. I mean, you can bring his queen back, but he had to think about that a second. He hasn't seen queen to there, just defends the pawn. Took him a few seconds to see it. That allowed me to catch up one time. Yeah, messed that up. I'm gonna lose on time. I lost that down. It was really bad. Okay. Play that again. The few seconds at the beginning that I didn't play the. I would have expanded on this side when he played the expansion the way he did there. That's all right. I mean, this is kind of just inferior position, but for 1 minute it might be okay. Yeah, this, I mean, really huge advantage to him here, but it's not always so easy to win with these advantages, and actually sometimes it's even difficult to figure out how to how to win these. Okay. What's going on here? So I'm up on time. I'm up a pawn. You're gonna say that's pretty good. Oh, that was obvious. I should have seen that coming. I didn't. I'm down on time. Not looking too good. I mean, oh, this guy's got me 3-0. See, he's slightly faster than me. So, the games go back and forth, but him being slightly faster than me, that leads to a pretty substantial advantage. So let me try to be careful to not fall behind on the clock. Probably should have taken that. I mean, you got to make instantaneous decisions in these, and a lot of times instantaneous decisions are wrong. Okay, but could work to my advantage. Okay. This is a win. Okay, even resign that. So, got a win off of him. Okay, yeah, that's what I meant to do. That was what I meant to do the last time also. So, slight variation orders in the opening messed me up the first time. So, I didn't make those errors this time, which, to my advantage. I'm on the pawn. He I'm on this pawn. So I mean, these openings are very tricky that I play. So and that sacrifice probably is not that good. I'm gonna let him have that. Oh, I probably shouldn't have let him have that. That was bad. I messed that up. Somehow I'm still up material, but I didn't. I just gave him stuff for nothing. I gave him more play than he deserved. I could have had him put away much easier and nicer, but I made it. This guy's doing pretty good. I mean, he's lower rated too, so he's gaining more points for these wins than I'm gaining. Oh man, that was a mouse slip. That's going to cost me. Almost impossible to come back from this. Now I'm down full piece for nothing. Yeah, I got basically nothing. I'm down. Too much material. that was a shame. Like that, just to make a mouse slip, it happens quite often. That's part of the reason I'm playing, just to you improve my intelligence, improve my thinking ability, so to say, that I don't make silly mistakes like that. And silly mistakes like that are inevitable. There's really no way to completely avoid them. But that's one of the large reasons that I'm playing, is to improve my thinking. I got minor chances of mating him here in the corner if he's not careful. Your rook here. Actually, he might have messed that up. He may have messed that up. I don't know how he stops mate here. So he didn't see my threat, and I was able to come back and mate him. So that, let me put the link in the. Play this guy again. He's got some points off of me. Okay, he didn't play F4. Didn't allow it. Yeah, I played that a few times. I wanted to get the move order right. So sometimes you play the same guy over and over again. It changes one way or another. So in those where I largely made errors in my opening play that allowed him to come to advantage, that he may not, so to say, deserved. So tight game here. Okay. Yeah, if I mean he could sack the exchange, I gotta let him, but oh man. He could win the exchange. And I'm just losing everything. And then mate there. Yeah, I messed that one up. I'm put the hangout link in the chat in case someone wants to come. People usually, like, I'm popular on some of these shows where I talk, but people generally don't really have much to say to me. So just stick to what I'm good at. Play some chess. You say like, okay, I'm good at chess, but there's players better than me. Definitely not undefeatable. Oh, yeah, I messed that up really bad. I'm just losing again. Yeah, it's forced mate. Okay, yeah, this guy's pounding away pretty strongly. Now he's up 6-2. He's taking like 30 points off of me. I messed up again. I played the wrong order. He switched it up, and I kind of too quickly it moved into the poor move order. Okay, so I guess if he sacrifices, he didn't sacrifice. So this could be to my advantage, saying like that he played slowly here. So he played slowly here. I should win this. See if he takes the request back. Yeah, okay. So sometimes people just want to gain rating points, so I'm messed that up. I meant to play 2 squares up, and I played 1. A lot of times people just want to gain the rating points, so they're not necessarily interested in playing, so to say, improving the game. So he's winning, he's got on a roll, and he's really gaining rating points, so keep on playing. But no, he doesn't want to give back those rating points, which is understandable. That's the nature of these games. But generally I'm trying to play for improved intellectual ability. The rating is a gauge, but there's not really necessarily anything meaningful that comes from the rating. Careful. If he didn't, I probably would have sacrificed if he hadn't done that. Make sure to grab this file. I'm way down on time. Okay, this could work out good for me. Okay, that was close. That was a close one. 4 people watching. Stryker. Yeah, I guess Stryker is a common name. He was from Germany too, so that's interesting. I didn't even notice the name. But it's kind of fun because it's international. People are from all over the world, and so these quicker 1-minute games are difficult to play and talk at the same time, because you got to really be instantaneous. So if I could get up over 2100, that'd be like quite a goal. It'd show substantial feat of chess play for anyone who knows the rating system. I'd put myself into the 99th percentile of internet chess players. Okay. Yeah, I gotta be a little bit careful. A little tricky here. So I got all my squares defended. Time is definitely a thing here. Run for the border. Okay. So somehow, he's got mate. I missed it. Yes, I almost held myself together there. That so I'm close to. I'm in the 99th percentile of chess player, but the computer automatically sets you up with people your own strength. So even though relatively I'm quite good, that I'm being paired against players with similar ratings. Castle, so prevent me from castling, but that's my phone ringing. Lose because of a phone call. Would have taken that call, but cost me a second or two. I'm really getting whacked. I'm down, substantially down on time and on the board. So my only chance is some sort of quick check my phone. Yeah, one moment distraction in these minute games. So now they got me playing someone's way lower. This guy's like about Elliot's strength, and so at this point I should win 7 out of 8 games against someone this strength. So like I've been on a losing run. Now paired me against someone substantially lower. I'll watch these games back later and hopefully gain a little bit from my thought about what's going on in my chess game by seeing what's going on in these games. Yeah, that way. Oh man, whacked. I'm down like, oh man, that was horrible. I lost to that guy. This guy was way low rated, and I got whacked. I was down on the clock and everything. And then I gave him a rematch. I got to beat this guy like basically every game just to keep my rating. You really can't sleep on anybody. In these chess games, you can't sleep on anybody. Anybody could beat you. And so you always got to be careful. At least I'm going to pawn there. Yeah, I'm not up time, so be careful. Okay. 2 pawns in the 6th are very powerful. I messed that up real bad. And I'm down on time. This is horrible. Oh my god. I lose to this guy a second time. Can't believe that. Can't believe that. That guy had me beat. I messed that up a second time. That guy should have beat me a second game. So playing this 1 minute chess and while streaming, it isn't working out that well, but I'll play a few more games anyways. Because I can't really talk at the same time. I'm not take that. All right. I lost that. And he just pushes the pawn and queens. That was horrible. I'm getting whacked here. So I'm going to try a few more of these 1 minute games, and then I might switch to 3 minute. See, no one's taking the leak. No one's coming on. See if I could get on a roll. I won the first few games. That guy from Denmark, I was did pretty well against, and it was actually gaining rating points. And then he's probably just going to snap that pawn. He didn't take the pawn. Probably should have. Okay, so he could have played that better. He didn't. Take that and defended against there. So he did get the exchange, but take with the queen, but I shouldn't have given that. Okay, this is not looking so great. Getting whacked here. I'm about to go under 2,000. Exactly what I wanted. I was hoping to go over 2,100, but instead I'm going under 2,000. So this talking while playing 1 minute has not been working out well. Okay. He's up quite a bit of time here. He ignored my threat. I ignored his threat. See what happens. Not sure what's going on here. Well, okay, that's mate. Okay, he walked into mate. Pretty cramped here, but he let me untie. Very cramped position, but he's playing pretty quick, and he made some bad moves, so might pretty good chances now. I'm way low on time. It's gonna be hard to come back on time. That was mate. Wow. My king trap there. That was just poor. Poor play on my part. Hard to come back from this unnecessary material deficit. Downtime. I'm lost on time. Falling under 2,000. I need a serious comeback here. All right. I'm pretty poorly. I'm way down on time too. No way to come back. Guy from Serbia. Serbian guy's beating me down pretty bad. He's just playing quicker than me. It's giving him a substantial advantage. I'm way down on time. This is horrible. My chance of winning is basically none. Now I'm lost on the board too. This guy's beating me down. The Serbian monster. Now I lost like 100 rating points playing. So this is 1 minute over. But the advantage of having done this is I'll actually watch these games back later. That's something I usually don't do. So one of the reasons I'm doing this will just be the fact that having live streamed this, I'll watch the games back and see, kind of, the mistakes I'm making, the poor play. I don't think I have anything better than a draw here. I might have. I was down time and I'm just getting whacked here, so I thought I'd just take the draw. Just playing slowly. I'm getting whacked here. Lost 100 points. I might switch to some 3-minute, but let me see if I can at least get my rating and get on a streak here. Not the way to do it. Just gave up a pawn for nothing. Oh, some serious whackage here. Now it's even harder to get games because people will play because they want to pick rating points off you. So when you have a higher rating, people gain more points. So now it's even it's even less interesting for people to play. I just lost 100 points. I lost a bunch of games in a row. But at least I could watch these games back later and get some sort of feel for the kind of moves I'm making. Yeah, that probably wasn't what he wanted to do, but bishop's trapped in there. Okay, well, he's not looking so good on the time situation. That one I had on the board and on time. So the ratings here are actually relatively accurate. So now I'm playing people, substantially lower rated. Oh, that was bad. Yeah, I'm just making bad moves, so it's part of why I'm playing, to sharpen my mind, sharpen my quick thinking skills. But anyone who knows the game could see I'm just making bad moves. That's why I'm losing. Okay, what do I do? Come up with a plan. Game spree locked in. Bring my knight there. Yeah, it's not good. Not good. Lost on time. I'm losing to people substantially worse than me. I'm just giving up. This is horrible. I mean, the blunders I'm making, I'm just making horrible moves. But yeah, that's why I'm doing it. Sharpen my mind. Sharpen my quick thinking skills. Put it out there for everyone to see. Doooovid basically getting whacked. Yeah, I'm down a whole piece. Like, basically nothing I can do to come back from this. He may have made small errors there. He did not have to allow me that. So now I'm up a tiny bit on time. Somehow I won a game. Oh, up one pawn. I don't think you get away with taking that. He took it, but I don't see how it stops me from queening. Okay, I should win this. Okay, yeah, no chess players seem to follow me. Time is about equal. Okay, a little bit of comeback here. I'll check the chat in a few seconds. Let me see if I could keep my comeback going here.
Hello.
This is Negation?
Yes. Yeah, I decided to stop in.
Okay. If you got something to say, go ahead and say it, because I want to do my full concentration here.
Um, yeah, no, I just was going to say that I was researching chess. I'll just say this to the general audience, and seems like United States, we actually had a lot of victories against the Soviet Union when we played them. I didn't know that. For some reason, I assumed they would always have the edge, but we held our own against them pretty well. That's pretty interesting.
Well, Soviets, to some extent dominate us in chess, but um, we've certainly had our share of victories, and in recent times, I think I got made here. Yeah, it's going to be made. I mean, right now, our players are about even or even better than the top Soviet players, but at the same time, our players are immigrants from other countries. So it's a part of the the immigration thing is the reason we're so good at chess is one thing is actual Soviet immigrants. Like a lot of the Soviets that were so good came to America and improved our chess, and then you had the rise of India and China. So the top player in the world, obviously Magnus Carlsen from Norway, although he's an anomaly because chess in Norway, besides for him, isn't particularly noteworthy. And that's going to hurt.
Um, yeah, but there was like Bobby Fischer, of course, was American born, and he was like a phenomenal chess player.
Yeah, I mean, he was the famous man who, so to say, beat Spassky and overturned the tide of Soviet domination.
Yeah.
But
Sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, but for him, he was, for decades it was Soviet domination until Fischer was able to, break the tide and defeat Spassky. And
Okay.
also, I
Yeah.
mean, if you consider it a Jewish thing, when the Soviet Union had a substantial amount of Jews, and then you had the period where the Jews had basically left the Soviet Union, although the Jewish migration away from America never happened. So you had the defection of Jews away from the Soviet, but there was never a defection of Jews. Oh man, I can't. He could have taken my rook for nothing. He became really sloppy. But yeah, I mean, there was no defection away of Jews from the U.S.
That's very true. Although after he had retired, I think Bobby Fischer ultimately settled in Iceland.
Yeah, he's buried there. I mean, chess is still extremely good in the Soviet Union, but as of now, Soviet dominance of chess um, is not so much anymore. Okay.
Yeah, everything comes in what's the term, like ebbs and flows or whatever. Other parts of the world are now stepping up, as you mentioned, and that makes sense.
Yeah, waves like sine functions. Almost everything is. Anyone else who's watching, they want to come on, you could kind of just talk while I play. It's hard to talk, and I'll switch to 3 minute. I just got whacked. I was hoping to make all-time new high ratings, and then I just started getting whacked in my rate. Now I'm making like I lost 100 rating points, so it's kind of depressing. So it's possible that I'll be able to get my game back together and get on a winning streak here.
cool. It must take a lot of brain power to play chess in such a short time frame, as well as converse. It sounds pretty challenging.
Oh yeah, I mean it's near impossible to play chess and especially at this rapid rate and talk at the same time.
Oh yeah, I would imagine.
That's a large reason why I'm doing it, for the intellectual exercise.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. But
Okay, I got
yeah,
forks all over the place. I'm threatening a fork here and a fork there. This way. Checking.
Wow.
Hey, this looking good. I'm that back this way. Take there. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. No, if he should have pushed there, I messed that up.
Down to the wire here for time.
Yeah, that's why these games are so exciting. So to say, the 1 minute where I mean, you have a few seconds. You could think at a few different points for a few seconds, but you're basically required to make a instantaneous decision at every point during the game. If you want to come on Brundle and talk with Negation, or just ramble about different things while I basically play chess, like I had a few different things in mind. One was to talk chess, like for my own personal chess advantage, where I'd be able to look back and talk about what's going on and try to improve my chess game. But also was kind of like a Babs type stream, where it'd just be an open stream and people could come on and ramble and talk with each other while I play. I don't know if that's going to catch on or not.
I forget, this was like probably a few months ago, but I think, didn't Bab like temporarily lose his channel or something?
Well, he did have an issue with some sort of, I mean, God forbid someone played pornography on his channel and he got a strike. But he had a whole bunch of channels, so that's not the main thing that happened. The main thing that happened was that he broke his computer or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Careful here. Well, that wasn't right. Okay. Oh, that's mate. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened with Babs, if he's taking a break from streaming, or I guess he's been on the Luke Ford every once in a while.
Oh, okay.
He basically just hosts discussions. I don't know if he had that much actual content to offer besides for hosting. And it's funny because almost everybody that so to say, started on his channel, Church of Entropy, Jonathan Pohl, OV, all those people are getting a decent amount of views.
Oh, okay. cool.
I'm not sure if you're following the streamosphere, so to say, but so you had a whole bunch of micro streaming, and most of these people were probably in Luke Ford's chat, and the first time they streamed was on Bab's channel, and now they're all doing pretty good. They're getting like 20 viewers. Jonathan Pohl, Church of Entropy, OVFU, quite a few others that all got their streaming start on Babs's channel.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. Well, good for them. I don't know if I think I know who they are, like vaguely. They sent the names sound familiar. I'm sure I encountered them in Luke Ford's chat or something. But yeah, no, that's interesting. They got their start with him, and now their channels and they're making their own content. They're doing good. Yeah. I haven't really been following the streams, anybody's streams really lately. I haven't been as into political stuff. Although once in a while, like I'll check once in a blue moon just to see what's going on. But yeah, trying to think if I have anything interesting to talk about. I'll think for a sec.
I won that on time. Yeah, I thought I'd do an open stream because I talk about different things because I'm interested in stuff. Like I'm always thinking about things and researching things, and a lot of I follow news, so I have comments that might be interesting to the wider public on my analysis of the news. Although I'm not really a news hound, like Halsey or Luke that just talk about the news day after day. That's so it's more I'm a man of ideas, and there's a whole bunch of things that are interesting to me that I'm always thinking about and researching.
Well, that's I'm trying to think if there's really any.
Yeah, I'm not really that social either. At the end of the day, I'm pretty introverted. So
well, trying to think.
I like to be able to talk and so to say to be intelligently able to talk about anything. I think that's sign. I mean, one thing, it's a sign of someone who loves God, loves the world that God created, that one could discourse, so to say, intelligently about any subject. That you love God's creation. Therefore, anything under God's earth, so to say, is interesting to talk about.
Right. Well, do you know that apparently in Afghanistan there's literally one Jewish person there? Literally one?
Well, there's probably more than that, but I mean, there's one official, recognized Jewish person. It might even be on their passports. That Afghanistan has the old policy where you actually shows up on your passport if you're Jewish.
Well, right. Wasn't that also the case in the Soviet Union too, from what I understand? It would they list your nationality, I think, or something.
Oops. Oh, man, I can't believe I won that.
Oh, congrats. Close.
Hangout link. I put the wrong link. I put the chess link in as opposed to
Oh yeah, I just noticed that. Yeah. I was looking at the screen, but yeah, going back to the YouTube screen, you put the chess link to the to the chess website?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I had
yeah.
I had a few hundred, followers on my YouTube channel before anyone, before I ever appeared on Luke Ford or Babs, but none of those people really Google chat or appear in this type stuff. So, it's unlikely anyone that I know from real life is gonna join on. Although I did even put this on Facebook, like that someone like I really know is gonna, just gonna be like, "Hi, Dave," like I decided to, join your live stream, even though I've never done that before in my life. So
you seem to be, not to, just because you mentioned, your, real life or whatever. You post videos, live streams of you with people. Are they Hindu? Is that the right term?
the Hindu's a misnomer. That's not how they would self-define themselves. But yeah, I mean, classically, I guess that'd be the most accurate to call them Hindu, although that's not how they would classify themselves.
Oh, okay. But because I know, I have no idea if that's the case with these individuals, but I know that Hindus, I guess, or the people as we would refer to them, they tend to be very pro-Israel. I don't know about the people that you know, but if you look at India and stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, not all of them, but some of them.
Well, yeah, I'm sure there's a spectrum, of course, but just some of the people I've seen who, like, you could look up political figures from India who are Hindus and they're right wing. They tend to support Israel.
There's a current trend of nationalism that has that there'd be a reason why Hindus are so to say right wing.
Well, right, yeah. I mean, there's sort of a wave of nationalism sort of everywhere lately, it seems. But yeah, I don't know. It seems somebody described it as like a pendulum, like globally, politically. People lately.
International master. I just beat an international master from France. This guy's a titled player. I mean, he's slow. He's slow. Like, I shouldn't have beat him, but whatever reason, like in 1 minute. So, I mean, this is a titled player who, in your regular parlance, I should have 0% chance against, but due to it being a 1 minute game, I actually beat him.
Oh well, congratulations. So I guess you're just maybe you have a quicker processing speed in your mind than he does, even though he's a very good player, maybe. So you had the advantage in such a short time frame.
Yeah, no, like in a regular game, I would have basically 0% chance against him. However, I was able to knock him off in a 1 minute game.
Well, oh, good for you. That's quite the achievement, beating a titled player.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised. And it was a sloppy game. I should win this game also, actually. He's just slow. I'm not sure if it could be his connection issue. Although it says he has perfect internet, so I messed that up. I have minor chances of winning on the clock. Actually, I have very good chances of winning on the clock here. Not sure. I mean, this guy's he probably has a combination of slow connection and whatever issues that he's probably not going to be able to come back here. Do the little trick here, those quick moves at the end to make him take a few extra seconds. So I actually beat this IM 2 games in a row.
Oh, wow. Nice.
I'm getting my rating back up. Like, I was getting whacked. I was trying to get over 2100. My all-time high is 21 something. And I was getting whacked earlier. I dropped like 100 rating points. Sometimes just being a little bit rusty in oh man, it's not looking good. I got everything hanging. I got like nothing for that. This guy's got, either he's got a connection issue. If it's a connection issue where he's just got slow internet and that's costing him. Or if he's actually a slow player. I mean, it could be both. Maybe it could be he's actually a slow player in general, or it could just be he has a connection issue.
Right. Yeah. But I thought you said he had good internet.
Well, he's got 4 bars there. They have internet bars to I think I'm going to get him on time again. I beat this guy 3-0. This got to be an embarrassment for this guy. He's supposed to be an IM. I mean, like they usually verify that. So if it says he's titled, that means they probably checked it. Well, it doesn't have his information. Sometimes they say it. I mean, he's got a FIDE rating of 2400 from France. So that's I'm pretty happy for that. Pounded down a titled player 3 games in a row. Although those games were horrible, saying like relatively, it was just because he was slow. But that's part of the game. When you're playing 1 minute like that, the clock is winning on the clock is legitimately part of the game. So like it's not a cheapo when you win on time in these games, because that's that's why it's 1 minute.
I'm curious. Do you ever go to the website known as the Jewish Virtual Library? You ever go to that website?
Yeah, all the time. Oops.
Because it's interesting. They updated. So for a while, the Jewish population was listed as 5.7 million there, but recently they upped it to 6.9 million.
Yeah, I think you asked me that last time. And
oh, did I?
There's different ways to understand Jewish population. I think we talked about that. I did a whole stream about that with Brundle on the Federation numbers, and they have a pretty in-depth understanding where they have your circles of what it means to be a Jew, and depending on what you call a Jew, the numbers are different.
Right. So like so ethnically, say, versus like religiously.
Well, even just purely ethnically, saying if you have 100% Jews, people who are halakhically Jewish by Jewish law, people who are 100% Jew, people who are part Jew but still Jewish by Jewish law, people who are part Jewish, people who have a Jewish spouse. I mean, there's so many different people you could include in the Jewish sphere that it could get up to 20 million. Like, so if you include people like you could have as many as 20 million Jews in America.
In the United States?
Yeah, right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure that could be the case. That's a very high number.
Well, I'm saying you're a quarter Jew, right?
Oh, yes, yeah, yep.
So I'm saying if we include you as a Jew, that could be as many as 20 million people in America that would be classified as Jews if we're going to include people like you.
Okay, yeah. So really, when somebody says, "Oh, Jews are only 2% of the population," that's and then they point out the number of they start identifying people who are only part Jewish as Jewish. That's kind of inaccurate then, because if you include everyone who's part Jewish, they're not 2%. It's a lot higher.
Well, no, I'm saying it's a question of what a Jew is. How do you count the Jews? So, um, based on how you count the Jews, the number is going to come out differently. So that's basically what it's saying. So I mean, it's not like I don't think the population is necessarily changing that drastically. But what's changing maybe is how they were counting the Jews.
Okay, all right, yeah. I mean, that that makes sense. Um, I'm just saying that
I lost
people,
my
for
time.
example, people
Yeah.
who are anti-Semitic, they'll 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 point out like, look how many Jews are in this field, right? That are overrepresented, and they'll say Jews are 2% of the country, but they're overrepresented. But when they name individuals as examples of overrepresentation, oftentimes they'll name people who are part Jewish. So really, if they're going to use an expanded definition of Jewishness, then in Jews you're not 2% of the population. If they're going to use an expanded definition.
Well, Jews and everyone do that. So I mean, generally, even for Jews, when it's to our benefit, we'll count you. And when so when you're doing good, you're one of us, and when you're doing bad, you're not one of us. And for anti-Semites, it's the opposite. When you're doing bad, you're one of us, and when you're you're doing good, they're not one of us. So I mean, that's just a fact. And this is looking pretty good for me.
Right. Yeah. No, I can see it would could work both ways in that sense.
That's always been a general trend of counting Jews, so to say. That
It's yeah. I mean, again, because it's funny because officially in Europe the number of Jews is I think 1.4 million, but the number of people with recent Jewish ancestry is much higher than that. But they don't necessarily self-identify as Jewish or would report themselves as such.
hmm. This guy had a high rating. So that other guy was a titled player, but didn't have such a great rating. This guy, who knows who he is, but he's got a very high rating. So that was a good victory. You could tell by the ratings are relatively a pretty good predictor. That because you win points when you win, and you lose points when you lose. So there's really nothing more accurate than that was bad.
So what a good rating would be over 2,000.
Well, I could show you the graph on the ratings, what the so to some extent it's just percentage wise what the ratings mean. So what's a good rating or not is so I mean, everyone I'm playing is so to say from the best, because that's how I have it set. I'm playing people. I'm already well into the 99th percentile of people who play chess. So everyone I'm playing is a very good chess player.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So you're going up against the creme de la creme, the top.
Well, I mean, there are people who play. So I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
this game is not looking good. It doesn't really matter. This game. Resign this. We got 8 people watching. See if anyone wants to join. The link is in the chat. You guys could talk amongst yourself.
Well, I'll share. It's not funny, but just something I encountered. So I watch anime, and there's, I guess I didn't see it, but I guess there's an anime, and it's an episode in an anime, and the main character is like, it takes place in Victorian Britain, and the main character is like a supernatural detective, something along those lines, and I guess he investigates a series of murders, and I mean, this is a really obscure show, so spoiler alert. I guess I'm going to spoil it, but it turns out the killer is this young girl who lives at this Victorian mansion, and she actually has a golem that that disposes of the people she kills. Like, it also protects her, but it disposes of the people she kills, and it's an actual golem. Like, it's defeated by, like, I forget, like removing the name or something that's written on its forehead. But I don't know. People, this one guy, I guess, thought, he commented like he thought it was like anti-Semitic or something, because they identify the girl's ancestors as being like heathens. They don't say the word Jewish, but they mention like they're not from Britain. They originated in like another part of Europe, and they had been expelled and stuff. I don't know. So it'd be kind of funny if it was a reference to actual Jews or something.
I won that on time. Pounding off. Well, it's. I'm sure it's taken from.
Yeah.
The Jewish legends, and even in Japan, there's there's diplomatic relations. I mean, historically, hundreds of years ago, you might be like, oh, how would the Japanese, know the legend of the golem? But now that's not surprising. I'm saying just like samurais or something, like, even like a Hasidic guy in Brooklyn has probably heard of the samurais. So I'm not sure if that, means anything. Cultural exchange is largely universal.
Yeah, that's true. It's actually interesting because the golem is a reoccurring thing in Japanese anime. Sometimes, but it was just that version was interesting because historically, right, from what I know, that famous rabbi in Prague created the golem to protect Jews from anti-Semitism. Or that was right. It stood guard outside the ghetto.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean anything. You could change the stories. I mean, the legends. I mean, if you're saying there was some sort of simultaneous different legend according to the Japanese on the mystery of the golem, so to say, that that's one thing. Or if you're just saying that the golem legend became popular enough that the Japanese have taken and adapted it to their own use.
Well, yeah, more the second one. That's all. Like, it seems because it appears multiple times in different anime, so it seems like they've adapted it. Yeah, like they've heard it, they thought it was interesting, and it's something that's been reoccurring or something in their media. So I think that's pretty cool, though, even though they don't always get the original story entirely right or whatever. But I mean, like you said, folklore changes. It's not like a big deal, but just something interesting.
Yeah, I don't even know if there is such a thing as getting it right. I'm saying if you're just adapting legends for your own purposes, is there really such a thing as getting it right? That's not really the purpose.
Well, I mean, there are Hasidic Jews, though. They would believe that's real, though, right? That rabbi really did create the golem.
Oh man, I lost on time. That would have been mate. If I got that move done, that would have been checkmate. So I lost by, um, that was exactly, as mate was on the board, I lost. Well, I think the purpose wasn't to tell the anime purpose wasn't to make an anime version of to correctly tell the exact story of the golem. I mean, I doubt that was what they
No,
were trying
no.
to do. So obviously they adapted it for their own purposes. So I
Right,
mean,
yeah, no, no.
what does it mean to get it right? I'm saying they weren't trying to get it right. They were trying to make they were trying to adapt a story for their own purposes, and that's kind of what everyone does.
No, yeah, you're right. Uh that's yeah, no, like you said, that's a cultural, what is it? The term cultural exchange or something.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they call
So
it
it's just
cultural appropriation when it's in a negative way, where, like if, oops, I didn't defend, should have defended that there. I mean, cultural appropriation, so to say, if they didn't have the permission to do it.
right, but that I don't think that concept exists in Japan.
Well, I'm sure it does.
As far
It's saying like,
oh,
okay, if the Japanese people are going to be upset that, it's like if people are stealing their samurai culture and then I mean, not even purposely, but I'm saying it's you're like, oh, let's make a funny story about, the samurai, and it's just going to be absolutely incorrect historically, where it's got almost nothing to do with, your proper understanding of, how the samurai, what samurai culture was or whatever.
right, yeah. But well, I don't know that. I mean, that I know the term cultural appropriation. That's a hotly debated thing online, right? Like if I choose to dress up in tradition in like a kimono, right? Is that appropriating Japanese culture if they did not give me permission to do it? If I just walked around, say say a city dressed up in a kimono?
Yeah, that could be called cultural appropriation. I mean, I have a kimono. My father gave me a kimono. I've never worn it. I mean, maybe it'd be cool to try you're walking around in the kimono one day, but I've never done that, and I don't know if there'd be. Like I volunteer at the Detroit Institute of Arts, and occasionally they have Japanese cultural events, and you'll see Japanese people dressed in their traditional garb for whatever purposes is at the museum, and so to say, would they be upset? Do they have the right to be upset? Does it matter that they're upset? Or maybe, okay, you're doing it wrong, so they're not upset, but like, okay, let me tell you that if you wanted to do it appropriately according to Japanese culture or Jewish culture, this is the way to do it. Or maybe it's just like, I don't care, like I just thought like this outfit was kind of cool, and did they really care whether it was done in line with the tradition? So there's always oh, man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's obviously going to be a lot of different viewpoints and stuff. I mean, well, the Japanese obviously their most famous native dress is a kimono. What do Ashkenazi Jews have a native dress?
Well, the Hasidim have more. I mean, the Hasidim certainly have more. Different different styles and things that than. Let's see if there's any way I don't lose this. Nope, lost. Like a lot of the Ashkenazic Jewish stuff is directly taken from European culture, like we discussed the Strimel, I think, last time, right?
Yes, the Strimel. Yeah, we discussed that.
I mean, largely you're not going to see whether it's Jewish in origin or not. Really the only person you're going to see doing it are are ultra Orthodox Jews. So like, I mean, like the bagel or something like that. Whether the bagel is Jewish or European in origin doesn't change the fact that it's largely a Jewish thing.
Right.
So I mean, you could argue over who invented the bagel, so to say, like the bagel debates. But it's not going to change the fact that almost all bagel shops are ran by Jews.
Right. Oh, I think somebody joined.
Testing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Mr. Doovid, can you hear me?
Yeah, who's this?
Hi. I'm just some random YouTube person. I subscribed to you maybe a while ago.
Oh shit! Hey, just talk with Negation for a minute. I'm trying to catch up on my chess. So I'll be done in like 30 seconds with this game.
Well, hello. I just popped on Doovid's.
No, I'm glad you're here. I want to win this game, so I got to be very careful. But this game's not going to last more than another 30 seconds. So please stick around a second. Okay, he's letting his time run out. You got close there for a second. So what's your handle? Throwaways, how you call yourself? Are you still there? Throwaway?
It says they're still there. I mean, their little icon hasn't left the.
Okay, yeah, that's why I'm always interested to see who's following me, and what they say. And I hear a little feedback, so it sounds like his mic is. I'm not sure if he's having technical issues.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine now.
Okay, excellent. Yes. I wanted to ask you a question. I subscribed to you maybe I don't know, like a month ago, and I watched some of your videos, and I noticed that you talked about artificial intelligence in some of your videos about consciousness and the soul and things of this nature. Is that correct?
Yeah, and actually, chess is one of the big areas of artificial intelligence, because a lot of oops.
Oh, are you aware of AlphaGo?
No, what's that? Oh, the game. The game.
No. AlphaGo. It's artificial intelligence developed by Google, and it reached. Okay, are you aware of Stockfish?
Yeah. I mean, Stockfish, I know.
Yeah, Stockfish is an artificial intelligence chess engine, and it was considered to be the #1 chess engine in the world for a very long time. And AlphaGo is another artificial intelligence engine, and how this engine works is it learns through a different way of learning called deep learning, and in a relatively short period of time, it beat It beat Stockfish. It just crushed Stockfish. Do you understand me?
Yeah, I did see that. Then someone wrote a book about it and had these.
Shalom.
Yes, Gary Kasparov is writing a book or released a book on it, and he was one of the best chess players in the world.
Yeah, there's a guy, King's Crusher, who has the most popular chess YouTube page, and I'm actually friends with him on Facebook, and he's been analyzing some of those games that.
Yes, I'm actually aware of that person, and I've seen all of his analysis on those games, just because I enjoy listening to the reactions that some of the smartest chess players have to the beautiful gameplay of actually this chess engine, because it doesn't play like a traditional chess engine. It plays in a very human style. That's like the general narrative that you hear over and over again from human players and analyzing the games from this artificial intelligence. Is it's so close to human. It's not robotic like other traditional chess engines. And I wanted to ask you, do you think it's possible that artificial intelligence is going to take over a lot of jobs, such as automate a lot of the jobs that humans have right now? And what is your opinion on this?
I follow that. I'm an engineer by training. I'm a member of my local engineering society, and I'm very aware of, so to say, the role, the current status of computers of automation. I'm in Metro Detroit. I could dox myself if you care. I even put my Facebook profile in the. Oops. Just messed something up. I'm not sure if I messed this up. I think. Are you on Facebook?
No, I don't have any social media. I don't know. I don't like it, but.
Okay, well, I have thousands of pictures from engineering tours here in Metro Detroit showing the current state of automation in use right now. So
do you think there's a possibility that artificial intelligence is going to replace humans at their jobs?
Well, I don't think it's going to replace. I think like I go to the robotics show, and generally now there's a certain level of replacement, but usually it's meant to help and to automate repetitive parts. And although from the old school factory line where you have substantially less jobs, substantially less things done on the line than were done long periods of time ago, still relatively there's quite the robots aren't at a replacement level. They're not even close. That's not really accurate depiction of the direction of robots. So if you have something repetitive, that you could find robots that will replace and do these repetitive things, or things that were historically dangerous, that but to actually have a pure replacement of people is extremely unlikely. I mean, you're always going to need large amounts of people, and the artificial intelligence largely used in robotics is for like precision capturing. So if you have these embedded cameras, I actually have like stacks and stacks of books actually on exactly what this stuff does. So, but you have these embedded cameras, so to say, grab a piece, and then you would use an entire artificial intelligence that would guide the camera towards capturing that piece or something like that. And or for if you had a line and you had sensors on it, you have hundreds of pieces going down a line. And there's different methods where artificial intelligence and robotics is doing, but if takeover of people, where you would, so to say, have like people-less factories, that's not even close. That there's almost a 0% chance is on the way. Like they're
okay. Can I ask you? Do you think there's a possibility of artificial intelligence gaining? Sorry, what?
I just lost my. But that was a doe. I'm not sure if you ever see like The Simpsons. That's my Homer Simpson doe. But he's only got 10 seconds left here, so.
Do you think there's a possibility that artificial intelligence gains consciousness and sentience and gains the general intelligence that a human being has? So it becomes aware of itself and it becomes conscious in the way that a cat or a dog or a pig or a human is. Do you think that's possible?
No, I mean, because I don't believe consciousness arises from the brain. So, if you saw my series on consciousness, that was one of my points. They're showing that the artificial intelligence, like the way a computer thinks about chess, and is substantially different. Like think like a grandmaster, in where you have your branch type thinking. Can you see my screen share?
Yes, I can see it.
So this is my Facebook, and I'm an engineer. I got like a tour of a power plant. Let me look for the last robotics show. Siemens. Where are you from?
I'm from Toronto, but I don't think robotics and artificial intelligence is the same thing. And if it's okay with you, I want to maybe sort of separate the two. Robotics is more like the physical manifestation of the human body, and artificial intelligence is more like the human mind. They're two completely separate things. You know, artificial intelligence is sort of the software, and robotics is sort of the hardware. You can, in theory, in principle, have the human mind on the computer just in the software, and it can be aware of itself without the use of any sort of external robotics. That's like the whole thing that I'm asking you about, because in terms of robotics, I understand that it's getting better, but it's still not there yet because you need smarter software. Are you aware of Boston Dynamics and their robots?
I'm not sure. Boston Dynamics. I mean, I go to all of most of the shows. Like, if you're familiar with Siemens, actually, that's tomorrow. This week is the annual North American Convergence. The North American Siemens main conference is in Detroit because of the auto manufacturers, and yeah, I'm looking to see.
I don't mean to cut you off. I gotta head out, and I didn't just want to leave without saying, thank you for inviting me onto your chat or having an open discussion.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. Good, good talking with you. We'll talk again soon.
Alrighty, sounds good. See you.
Yeah, here it is, the applied manufacturing. So this is in Metro Detroit, and this company specializes in robots and adding robots to manufacturing lines. And for example, here they have a checker type thing, and these robots that go around and like shoot balls, and some of them use artificial intelligence. Here's like a robot that plays checkers, and but most of the artificial intelligence is largely used for guidance. If you're familiar with that.
Yes. Are you aware of the self-driving car phenomenon?
Yeah, I mean, that's largely scheduled here in Detroit. In fact, I should be getting a tour in the old Ford plant that made the bombers during World War II. Willow Run is one of the headquarters for research in autonomous cars. I'm actually going to be touring that. Hopefully, they let me take pictures at the end of this month. I'm not in that field of engineering, but I follow it and I go to the conference. I'm not sure if these pictures are interesting to you, but
yeah, they kind of are. But can I ask you a question? What do you think is going to happen to all the car drivers, truck drivers, and all of the industries revolving around human drivers? Because right now, a huge amount of them are, such as roadside motels, hospitals that have to deal with the consequences of human mistakes during driving, and of course the thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of drivers and cab drivers, both in the United States and in the entire planet. What do you think is going to happen to these people when they're not going to have a job because the car is going to be able to drive itself better than any human can?
I think that's an inaccurate assessment about how that's going to work, that there'll be a phase out period where, and unlikely that even 50 years from now, that all cars will be driverless. So right now they're moving to have sensors put into the car that will help you maybe automatically brake or something if you see cars are going slow in front of you, or there's a stoplight coming that you can't see, or things that might be able to control the steering. But to actually have cars, this robot here in this video has artificial intelligence camera guidance on it, and it's slowing down actually because I'm moving closer to it, because it has sensors that when you get a certain close to it, it slows down, and then if you get really close to it, stops, and the safety measures. But the guidance, the cameras that are embedded on it, you have artificial intelligence. I mean, that's the most basic form. If like here, you could see this one might be completely programmed. Like the battery switcher here, that I don't know if this one has. Funak, though, the Fanuc company.
No, but are you aware of a company called Waymo? Because in Arizona, in the United States, they have a fully self-driving taxi service that's operational right now. They don't actually have to put a safety driver behind the wheel. And they would make it entirely self-driverless, so there's no humans in the car besides the passenger. But the passengers felt uncomfortable, so they were forced to put a safety driver in. But they have the AI and the technology right now to automate every single cab driver in America. And can I ask you this?
But I think you're inaccurate about that. I'm saying that even let's say that they currently had the technology to automate taxis, the phase-out period would be decades. That they're saying like for example, they didn't let me take photos, but Ford's headquartered in Metro Detroit, and they have the Final Focus assembly plant here, and I toured that. So right now they made it so the same line that produces electric cars also produces gas cars, and right now they're set that you're basically 19 out of 20 cars that are being produced now are gas.
Do you think it's a fair statement?
Over the next decades, they might have it that 19 out of 20 will be electric. But even 20 some years ago, from now, and the phase out period for cars going automatic, one thing that costs so much more that they'd have to, maybe in Europe or some like socialist country where they could make it illegal. But even if the technology was currently available to have safe autonomous driving cars, that it would take decades, maybe 50 years for the phase out, that they wouldn't have regular driving cars, because most people aren't going to be able to afford it. The cars are going to cost much more, and people are still going to want cars. I mean, all these things, like if anything about the emissions or the CAFE standards, they always have these long sunset clauses, and the sunset clauses are usually decades.
I understand. Now, can I ask you this? Don't you think there is a moral incentive for society to force automation on all cars? Because from my understanding, or
free market perks. I'm more libertarian and free market. Saying I don't think you could force things even if you wanted to. Like, I follow it, I research it. I'm an engineer by training, and even though I don't work in these fields, I'm constantly studying it, and I encourage these conventions and people to go into the fields.
Yes, but from my understanding, somewhere between 30,000 people a year die from car accidents in America alone, and something like 500,000 or 1 million per year globally die from car accidents. Don't you think there is a moral incentive to automate cars? First question. And my second question would be, don't you think there's a financial incentive to automate away truck drivers? Truck drivers are actually a billion-dollar industry, a multi-billion-dollar industry in America, and they actually get paid quite a lot of money just to sit around driving a car. Don't you think there's a financial incentive to automate those jobs away?
Well, definitely, but it's going to take time. It'll take decades. For driverless trucks will take decades, and the theory of leisure, like I've mentioned in a lot of these channels, because what I'm most famous for in terms of viewership is debating immigration and multiculturalism. And I'm always saying that there's these technological factors that are speeding these things up, but these shifts take decades of time. And as the technology exists, so you have these battles of resources: the one that drives down wages, one that might be pushing for immigration or make it multicultural societies more beneficial. But related to what you're saying, that people are still people, and there's factors of how these things get implemented. So even if you're morally correct that you could, through some moral and ethical standards, you could devise and say, if you just want me to call you throwaway, but say, okay, throwaway, I agree with you, you're correct. But that doesn't mean that, what does that mean that you're morally correct? You actually have to have a system to implement it, because obviously people aren't required to act on morals. Just like murder is wrong doesn't mean that people still don't murder. So what does it mean that it's it's a moral imperative to do this? You have to come up with a way to implement it.
Yes, for the implementation, that would be for society at whole. But for the actual automation of the cars, there's a lot of new startup companies right now.
Siemens. Are you familiar with Siemens?
No.
Siemens is, I mean, they're a German electrical company going back 150 years. They were at one point the biggest company in Germany. They're still one of the biggest companies. The Siemens is actually a family of billionaires that have been running the company for over 150 years now. But they make electrical systems for some houses, but more commercial industry. And this is their top of the line control systems for manufacturing. So for example, here they're trying to show their control systems for like a beverage filling factory or oil factory. And I'm not sure if do you have a background in engineering?
No, I'm a high school dropout and a complete moron when it comes to academics.
Yeah, so these would be your control systems, and some of these are already implementing low levels of what we would call artificial intelligence, but really, it's machine learning that they do. That machine, artificial intelligence is unclear what that means, but machine learning is something that we know that works. That the machines could, so to say, learn on their own. You could give them, by trial and error or different formulas that machines are actually capable of figuring things out on their own, but it's not in the classical way, the way humans think that we think of artificial intelligence. But today, that's when we refer to artificial intelligence and engineering, it's usually to this machine learning phenomenon.
Okay. I also wanted to ask you, companies are usually, from my understanding, hire truck drivers, and they do a contract with the truck driver to haul a certain load or cargo from one place to another. And right now, there's a huge amount of new startup companies developing artificial intelligence, deep learning for cars that are going to be soon offering their services for such trucks in competition with the human truck drivers at simply a lower rate. Can you explain to me why the companies who are hiring the truck drivers wouldn't hire the AI driving car companies if they're cheaper?
Well, I mean, presumably they would, but right now that's not the cost trade-off. The cost trade-off right now is the cost trade-off right now is that people are still cheaper.
Right now, but I believe there already is a taxi car driving service in Arizona and also in California right now as we speak that's fully autonomous. It doesn't require humans. In the next decade, it's expected that the driverless car technology is going to explode. And especially for truck driving, humans are not going to be able to compete with machines. In the past, automation has always won, regardless of how many humans have tried to fight back. But this time, for automation, it's going to, from my understanding, going to remove all truck drivers because they simply can't compete with a car that drives itself perfectly. So they don't have to pay insurance as much and is significantly cheaper. And this technology is actually available right now. You say it's not, but it actually is. The cars in Arizona that Google has, for example, drive safer and more precise than a human being. They react faster, and they can predict where the cars that are going to be ahead of it and before it and behind it ahead of time. They can predict the behavior of other cars ahead of time by a significant margin, by 5 or 10 seconds at a fairly high accuracy rate. The things that these cars can do right now are incredible. And I just don't see truck drivers being able to compete, especially when there's such a huge economic incentive for them to automate these cars or these jobs away. Truck drivers get paid billions a year. They get paid somewhere between $50,000 to $100,000. It's one of the highest paying jobs you can get with just a high school education. It's a middle class American job that actually pays quite a lot with very little education, and it's very rare. And I just don't see this job existing. Do you know who Andrew Yang is?
Yeah, I've been following that. I'm not sure. I haven't really been taking it that serious. I could do a public study session because this is actually something I know quite a bit about, and financial engineering is, I'm more in the financial aspect of engineering. So, the phase out period that it's a long ways away from being cheaper to have autonomous cars. And one of the problems is the infrastructure, that the whole infrastructure has to be changed to make it more applicable for first to go electric, because I mean, chances are autonomous vehicles would be electric. But the problem, obviously with electric, is that we don't have the infrastructure for it. The infrastructure right now is gas. We have gas stations, on every corner, and to build the chargers, to have chargers in the houses, and all these different things would take huge investment. So if the infrastructure existed, I mean, one thing, even if the infrastructure existed right now, it's probably not cheaper. But at the point where what you're talking about, where it is cheaper to have an autonomous vehicle than an actual driver, that you need the infrastructure changed to do that. And you might have certain test cities where, or certain parts of certain areas that are testing it, building the infrastructure. But that's going to take decades to do, and that's going to take billions, trillions of dollars. You think about completely changing the infrastructure, the sensors, a lot of like the roads being built in a different way. Like here in Michigan, for example, like our roads are crap. We don't have the money to fix our roads, let alone to completely work over the infrastructure that's going to benefit driverless cars. So there's been a few experimental areas here in Metro Detroit, because to some extent the automotive industry is still centered here in Detroit, that where they've built all of this infrastructure for these autonomous cars. They've built the sensors along the roads and the different technology that's necessary for it. And it's a huge investment that the automotive companies have made. So, I mean, you might be, I mean, I agree with you. You are correct. And I'm that's something I study and something I care about. But you're talking decades and decades. And even after decades, like the trucking industry all across the United States, just to change the infrastructure here, like in a one metro area, let alone to change the infrastructure completely across the whole country, is going to take decades, and it'll probably never completely happen. I mean, there's going to always be, likely gas trucks and things like that because of because the changeover, what to change over the all the road. I mean, you don't have to change over the roads, but you might. It depends on like if the roads weigh more, but to build the sensors, to put all the equipment there, to go electric, because most likely the autonomous cars are going to have to be electric, although they don't necessarily have to be.
Yes, I know that, for example, Google fairly recently, and a couple months ago, signed a contract to install a large plant in Detroit, Michigan, so they can outfit cars with their self-driving technology. The cars don't actually have to be electric. The cars that they're using right now are not electric, from my understanding. And how they do it is they just put a whole bunch of sensors on top of the car, so they make the car like look weird, and like they install a whole bunch of cameras and some kind of a radar system and some kind of like a 3D lidar system, whatever that is. But it allows the car to be able to see things that humans simply cannot see. You can see like many cars ahead of it and behind it, and these cars. And this technology is soon going to become available to the public, and it already is in some select cities. And there's a whole bunch of new companies that are racing against each other to build this self-driving technology. I have a question. Do you think that the rate of technological adaptation is increasing? So, for example, if a new technology comes out, do you think that the rate of people who are adapting this new technology is increasing?
I'm not sure. I mean, at some level it is, but it's also like an elite, because the new technology is highly expensive. It's just like electric cars or Tesla type things that the amount of Teslas on the road are very small. And, so the people who could afford or electric cars are substantially more expensive than regular cars. So there are a certain level of adaptation. I mean, I've heard the breakdown from the car companies where it's the first thing they're going to do is they're going to include the sensors in the car so it notifies the driver of this additional information. And then the next step is where it assists the driver in the car automatically, like I said, automatically braking or slowing down for you. And and then to go to a level where the car is semi-automatic, where you could be on auto drive for periods of time, and then on the level where the car is permanently auto drive. So you have almost 4 phases to get to driverless cars. So if you had trucking or something like that, some of that's being implemented right now for safety standards, where you have this sensor technology that notifies the driver to help make them more safer. And some of them might even have like the automatic braking type things. If something's coming up, that the car will automatically help the person brake or steer or something like that. But the phase where the actual car is driving for the person, or you don't even need a driver, that's decades away from now. Although they might have a few vehicles on the road that are capable of doing it, but to have a complete changeover for an industry, that's extremely far away. So you could have an eccentric millionaire or something who could afford to buy the current technology and say yes. And I don't even know if they've allowed, they're still in the testing phase, but let's say in a few years that you could get on the commercial market a driverless car. They're going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars, extremely expensive. Only a few people are going to have them. And then, for a company that does shipping or something like that, for them to invest in a fleet that, some trucking company is going to be able to, change over hundreds, and buy hundreds of driverless trucks to make a fleet across the country. This is like a battery testing in University of Michigan, where I went to school. I mean, it's related because the battery power is, there's a lot of interrelated thing, and I have a lot of the sensor technology stuff.
Can I ask you, just for the sake of argument, let's just say hypothetically I'm right, and let's say hypothetically in the next 5 years, there's not going to be any more jobs for truckers. The reason why I mentioned Andrew Yang is because one of the main platform points for Andrew Yang when he's running for the president of the United States of America for 2020 is he's running on the basis of trying to fix automation. He can't stop talking about the word automation and how AI is going to decimate jobs. Now, for the sake of argument, let's just say I'm right.
But I mean, you're not. There is no sake of argument that you're right, because there's a phase in. So to say it's inconceivable that truck drivers are going to be replaced by AI in the next even 20 years. That there might be a few elite companies that have a big enough budget to invest and change their fleet. Even their whole fleet would be extremely unlikely, but even part of their fleet, that they'd be able to change their fleet partially over to driverless trucks is possible. But that the whole industry would be changed over in even 20 years is basically 0% chance.
But they've already done this in Arizona. They've already automated away cab drivers. You now have the option.
I don't think you're correct. I'm saying they might have had one company that has driverless cabs in a certain area, but you're talking. I doubt it. I mean, you'd have to show me like a link or something.
Sure.
Where you're saying that there's a whole city in Arizona where they have only driverless cabs. I don't believe that. They might have a certain small section of one area of one town where they have autonomous cabs going, and that would be a huge investment. But I don't think you're appreciative of the time scale it takes for this technology to roll out. You mean saying, for the sake of argument, I'm not even arguing. I agree with you. It's going to happen, but I think you're not understanding the time scales and the economics that of how long this takes. Although
so once it does happen, now what?
I mean, you're a young man. How old are you?
28.
Yeah, so we say it could be in your lifetime. So if you're saying, okay, if you're 28, I mean, you're a good 10 years younger than me. Okay, there's someone in the chat that's showing some articles. Let me put it back on that. Yeah, but so it could be in your lifetime, but it's saying even that, saying, are you independently wealthy?
No, I'm very poor. I live in poverty.
So I mean, the chance that you even are going to be able to use one of these things, let alone, okay, someone showed this in the technology adaptation rates, which, I mean, some of these are pretty quick, the adaptation rate to near 100%, where you like the color TV. I mean, the color TV being built upon it earlier from one of these, that some of these happen within like 10 years, where they're new technology, the automobile. I mean, these things take decades. In saying that, let's say that I'm not even sure that you're correct that this stuff exists on the open market right now. I think it's, the regulation hasn't allowed it. That
from my understanding, the regulation says just as long as it's better than a human, it's legal for a lot of places. And a lot, like I know in California and in Arizona, it's legal. The self-driving cars compete with taxi cabs right now. They compete right now.
Someone in the chat shared the video.
Yeah, that's me. That's me.
Okay, you got the number ID?
Yeah, that's a self-driving car. It drives better than a human right now. There's a huge incentive. They have a fleet of cars. They're going to have a fleet of cars of every city in America. So many companies are making self-driving cars. It drives itself. Where are the cab drivers going to go? Where the truck drivers going to go? There's such a huge financial and moral incentive to automate away these jobs. Cab drivers kill people. Human drivers kill people.
Yeah, but how much do one of those cost?
Right now, that's a cab driver driven by an AI, and it's the same price as a human cab driver. Eventually, the price is going to be cheaper.
There's still a person in the cab. Even it's not completely driverless. They still have to have a driver.
Yes, they have a safety driver, but they only put that in because people were freaking out. Eventually, it's going to reach a point where they're going to be okay with it, and it's going to be cheaper to have the self-driving car there without the human, because humans cost money. Humans need minimum wage, and they're very expensive, and they sue, and they make mistakes, and they kill people. The AI doesn't do any of that. It works 24/7 without any complaint, better than a human being, and it's cheaper. It's going to automate away so many jobs. It's going to cause so many problems. It's just going to weigh.
How much do you know about mathematics? I'm saying, like, if you think about switching your light bulbs to incandescent or the higher quality light bulbs, where it's cheaper over a period of time, where if you used to have a light bulb you have to change every 2 years, and you could get a better light bulb that lasts for 20 years. However, the light bulb costs 6 times as much, so that initially the investment is much larger. So I don't know, for example, let's say that this cab cost $200,000, and I mean, I have no idea the cost. We could look into it. Maybe I'll try to do a public study session, and it's a topic that interests me. But you could buy a $25,000 car and drive a cab immediately. If you have to pay $200,000 up front for this cab, that's a substantial investment, and to recoup your money on it. So even if it was currently at the point where it's cheaper to use the driverless vehicle, but the upfront investment is unquestionably going to be substantially more. And, so you could probably buy a car right now. Even if you're poor, you could probably get a vehicle. But to get a driverless vehicle would be beyond your reach, because you would probably have to, it cost you, hundreds of thousands of dollars. You'd have to put tens of thousands of dollars down payment, as opposed where you could buy for $500 a gas car that's going to drive. And so the phase out period is a long time, and the phase out period usually is never complete. I mean, even to say people still use horses. I mean, not that often, but I mean, the complete phase out almost never happens. But for the period of time where you would have a complete phase out. So let's say this one place in Arizona invested a whole bunch of money, and they don't have any gas cabs, and they made it illegal to have cabs or Ubers, and the only cab you could drive is these driverless ones, and they invested hundreds of millions of dollars to change that over. And you have to see whether that's going to be a loss of money, whether that's actually cheaper than the gas cars. So if that works out, that experiment turns out to be cheaper than having gas cabs, regular old school cabs, maybe there'll be other cities that will do it. But it'll probably take a few years for that place to demonstrate. And maybe there's other places doing it now. So like, I agree with you, it's happening. And I haven't, currently researched I didn't know what you were talking about in Arizona. I'm glad you showed me that. And it's interesting. And, I'd like to keep up and know as much as possible about this stuff. But as I said, it's going to be decades. And for yourself, how much would that cost? You're saying that
Right now, the taxi cab competes with the human drivers. It's just the same price. Eventually, it's going to be less. They're investing so much money. They're like making it rain.
You're saying they're probably losing money. You're saying that it's
these are the richest companies in the world.
Legitimately in an open market, that it's cheaper to drive that it costs less money to use the autonomous cab than a gas cab. It's extremely unlikely. It almost certainly subsidized. And, obviously, companies, because it's the direction of technology, are subsidizing it. But to the point where on the open market, without any subsidies, that it's cheaper. Once you hit that brink point where on the open market for a cab driver, it's cheaper for them in the long term to invest a lot more money and have an autonomous cab than to have an old school cab, then you're going to have the brink point where a lot of people start switching over. But I mean, look at light bulbs or something like that. Do you use incandescent light bulbs, or are you using your old school regular light bulb?
I don't know, but can I just say, okay, let's
even though it's cheaper for you to switch over and get the more expensive light bulb that has to be replaced less, still your average person is using the older light bulb because maybe they just haven't thought about it, or when they go to the store, it's like, what, you want me to pay $10 for a light bulb instead of $2? And he's like, no, it's going to last 8 times as long, so it's worth the money. And so these things are going to take decades to change. Maybe in the next 10 years, you'll see that stuff in Toronto. And it said if it does hit that brink point where a place like Toronto would completely switch over, I doubt you're going to see that within the next 10 years. He's probably talking 20 years.
I see Teslas on the roads all the time. They're electric cars.
But they're expensive, right? Teslas cost like 50 to 100,000 or more.
From my understanding, they're the same price as most other cars, but it's actually a lot cheaper to put the AI system, because the AI is just an idea. It's just software. It's not hardware. Once they install it, they can install it on cars, and that's it. But let's stop talking about car AI. I don't really care anymore. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, you're right. You won. Okay.
I'm not trying to win. I'm an independent scholar. This stuff is just interesting for me to think about.
Can I ask you, right now, a huge amount of very intelligent people, so top scientists, top AI experts, all universally agree that AI is going to reach human level and gain consciousness and sentience.
I disagree theologically, because I don't believe that consciousness actually comes from the brain. I think consciousness comes from the spiritual world. So you're not going to be able to get me to agree with you on that. If you wanted me, for the sake of argument, to drop my religious belief in the soul and to accept that consciousness arises from the brain and not the spirit world, even based on that, it's an extremely long way off that you're going to have anything close to consciousness, what we call consciousness, coming from computers.
Okay, well, what about general human level intelligence? So AI being just as intelligent or more intelligent than the smartest human being. What about that?
I don't think so. I mean, processing wise, just like I think Go, they finally came up with a Go computer that could beat the top player. But in a processing manner where even though the computer doesn't think in the same way that a human thinks, so when the chess player beats the top human player, it's not because of artificial intelligence, it's because of pure processing power and just I mean, there's some level of machine learning, but it's not because of what we would call thinking skills. So in that sense, yes, that's guaranteed to happen. You're going to see more and more things that are switching.
What can a human do that an AI can't?
Well, human could think.
Well, AI can think too.
No, they
AI
can't.
can drive, AI can play chess, AI can be able to speak. AI right now has debates with human beings, and it wins debates against top human debaters. AI can understand context, AI can understand language, AI can create music. I listen to music made by AI all the time. AI can create classical music that's just as beautiful as Beethoven or Tchaikovsky, or like the greatest musicians. AI can create, from my understanding, just about anything imaginable. What is it that humans can do that AI cannot?
I think you're fundamentally misunderstanding what computers are doing. They're not actually thinking.
What is thinking?
I mean, that's a that's a deep philosophical question, that what happens when a human thinks. But that's not what the computer is doing.
Okay, well, I mean, I would implore you to, for example, check out AI made music, AI debating. There's debating competitions. I'll post some links on the chat below. But anyways, I just wanted to say I gotta go now. It's been very nice conversing with you. And that's all I have to say. Okie dokie. Okay, goodbye.
Yeah, come again. Thanks a lot. Okay, yeah, I'm glad. Thanks to Throwaway, however he calls himself. Coming on. I got some serious problem with my internet. Oh man, I was completely winning that game, and I'm completely winning here. If my connection died out there, I was losing time. I'm going to be lucky to draw. I mean, it should still be a draw, but well, if I win this game, my rating will be an all-time high. I had some sort of lag issue. Like, thank God I didn't lose. Like, sometimes when you get disconnected, you automatically forfeit. So I had like a lag issue that was causing me to lose, to not be able to move as quickly as I should have. Interesting predicament here. Sure what he does about that. Oh. Okay, so I won the exchange. That's good. Do! My Homer Simpson dough. I never did those before, but like I started making blunders at chess and started giving my doughs, but looking pretty good. I'm just a pawn. I can just come in here. I can't even defend this. Well, thank God. I'm ready to make an all-time new high rating. He resigned. He left. It's all-time new high rating. Okay, thanks, Throwaway, for coming on. We'll talk again. Maybe I'll do that'd make for an interesting public study session on like autonomous cars or something like that, because that's actually closer to my field of study, and I could probably locate some really good PowerPoints. I've seen a lot of presentations, and give you the current overlay of how this stuff is going to be phased in. He probably shouldn't have exchanged there. It was like probably just bad. Now it gives me attacking potential. Okay, well, he gets his exchange back. I gotta move really quick. Yeah, I was moving pretty quick, but I'm down on time. I was forgetting this 1 minute. Oh man, I lose all my pawns. Oh, that was horrible. Dozed off for a second there. Okay. See, really letting me expand like this is kind of dangerous, almost so much that it's recommended to play a4 to block me from doing this, that very few people do. I'm going to make sure to bring my knight there. that. Oh, I saw that coming. I saw that multiple times and fell right into it anyways. Like, do not fall for that. Do not fall for that. Then I fell for it. Now you win the full rook, but oh, you disconnected. You're lucky. You see that red thing? I got it lucky. Disconnected. I didn't deserve. I mean, I was winning that game, and then he fell to connection issues. So I think I got my 3-minute on all-time highs just by a little. We'll see if what I could do with my. 1 minute, if I actually have it in me to. Oops. Nope, not going to come back from that. Dion the Greek. Yeah, I'm just down on time. Yeah, this consciousness, like that is something. If people are chess players, like it's a lot of the thought processing behind artificial intelligence and consciousness. Chess playing is actually one of the most studied fields. That guy resigned. I don't know if that guy just disconnected for some reason or he just didn't feel like playing. Oh, that's a problem. That's a problem. Oh, that guy messed that up really bad. That guy just gave away all his material at the end. That was, like sometimes that happens. Like you really just fall apart out of nowhere. Like things are going relatively even, and they kind of like you lose the thread. Which you said, like chess play is really related to consciousness, so it's hard to see if you're a big chess player and you're following this stuff and you're thinking about it. You might you appreciate some levels of the consciousness experience that's happening. This guy. Yeah, but so to say, like losing the thread because there's so many different things being thought about, at one given moment that you could kind of, so to say, lose the thread of what's going on, where you just got too complicated and you lost sight of what you should have been thinking about, and next thing you know, like all your pieces disappear. Okay, so they're like, okay, I'm losing that. That's going to be bad. I'm losing that. But like, yeah. He probably should have sacrificed there, but time issue on him, Sand. Give me a pawn back. Let me in that way. Get some counterplay. Yeah, in 1 minute time, win itself. So yeah, I'm trying, like, hopefully playing this chess is going to help me express my thoughts on consciousness. And anyone who studies any of these things about machine learning, artificial intelligence, or any of this other stuff, consciousness, chess is one of the big study factors for all of these things, like for conscious studies, for machine learning studies, all of them. The process for, how does the human mind think? So a simple thing like chess has been studied very widely to try to understand how the human mind goes about thinking. Chess is one of the common processes that is studied in order to try to understand how the human mind thinks. So you could have taken that pawn. Just in terms of like error like that I made a direct error in thinking there. Okay. My knight's pinned. He could just win that pawn. So I'm just down a pawn for nothing. And, already the end game. Very minor chances of anything good coming out of this. I'm just down a pawn for nothing, but let's even checkmate. Expand. The white first move advantage, the expansion takes control of the center. I got to go on the opposite end, try to get counterplay. So, yeah, I probably should have push that pawn first before castling. Oh, you messed that up. Oh, man. I'm way down on time. I messed that up. He started moving really slow there. Oh. Lucky to win that. I think I was really low rated too. What's that flag? Vatican City. I got a opponent from Vatican City. That's cool. It's quick too. What's going on here? Tough to tell. Slowed down. Friendly pounding from the Pope. Vatican City. Ah, that was bad. Stop a pawn. Oh man. I really messed that up. He messed that up. I beat friendly pounding from Vatican City. Oh man. He pulled off one of those cheapos and beat me. I wasn't expecting friendly pounding from Vatican City to do that cheapo move, but he did. You know, what can you do? Oh, you messed that up. Now I got to win. Friendly Pounding wanted to play for the win too much. Now he's going to lose. Yeah, really, that other win he won was just on a cheapo, too. Try it. Yeah, it wasn't. Well, it didn't pay to try to win that pawn. This one is to his advantage. Bishop's of opposite color. Not sure. He probably should have just traded there. Okay, yeah. Down to 4 people. I want to see if I can get my rating back to, high, so I'm going to keep at it, see if I can get my bullet over 2100, end the stream on all-time highs. So see if I could get, I need like a 10-game winning streak. I'll take that. Yeah. Okay. I'm way down on time. I would have been made if I tried to hide in there. Probably should have went in there. I'm glad he did win the pawn, but he went the wrong way. Snap. I can't defend that. Oh, that's real bad. Ah, horrible. He didn't take the free rook. Lose on time either way, but sure. This guy from Spain, I guess he doesn't enjoy playing me. Anyone watching? Okay, at least I got a slight lead on time. Okay. I give it queen for nothing. They lost the thread. Yeah, okay. Get the exchange. Okay. Oops. Oh. Okay, got 3-0. Oh! You're not going to be able to come back from that. I'm way down on time. That was bad. What happened? This guy had some sort of time issue. I don't know why he lost that. I mean, he definitely should have won that, but he must have some sort of time issue. The guy was certainly lost there. Yeah, not much to say. I'm just trying to get my 1 minute rating up. I mean, I got almost no one watching. I'm not sure if I'm going to watch this back. I'll probably watch it back in 2-speed, and because I'm not talking much, I might. Let me got me playing someone with a 450 rating. Not sure what's going on there. I don't know why they gave me someone with such a low rating. Sure, don't lose on time. Just up a piece for nothing. Do! Can't believe I just gave my queen up for nothing. It was just like unbelievable. I just dropped my queen for nothing. And I'm down on time. This is horrible. Take like a miracle not to lose this. Yeah, one on time. He turned it wasn't good at the time. He was making comment at the end, zero brain fast hand, but that's part of the game. That's part of what I'm doing, why I'm playing this. Like, there's a certain element of deep thought to play regular chess, but I'm more concerned about the instantaneous thought for 1 minute play. He gave me a lot of pawns there. He's up a tad bit on time, but probably not enough. Disconnected. Okay, yes, I'm not even talking. I don't know if anyone's watching this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch this back later because I'm not even talking, but I want to see if I could get my rating back over 2100 at least. So I'm almost there. I'm going to get slightly lower rated players here, so it takes me more games, and if I lose one, it a big backtrack. I'm going to do it. Snap, yeah. I got to go for it. Yeah, you could just win the pawn here, but he didn't go for that. I got to take. Do! Oh, he could have. Do! Again, 2 times in a row I just blundered for nothing. First time he didn't capitalize on it. Second time he did. Oh, he messed that up now. Man, I can't. Doesn't help. Nah, it's made in one. Nah, horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Yeah, it's tough. You lose like one game. As you get higher rated, the cost of losing is more. So getting my rating up. Yeah, this guy. Okay, that's all I got for today. I'm gonna end the stream. I did it for a long time today.